everyone, Melinda Farrell here at the SCG with the good, the bad and the ugly from the second ODI between Australia and India. Now, a lot of you have sent your nominations in, so I've had to cull them a bit, but thank you to all of you who have sent them to me. I'll just go through some of the honourable mentions. Now, at Flash Crick said, ugly, India picking only 5 bowling options again. And at Shreya suggested bad, India's bowling, while Dharmik has suggested ugly, India had 7 bowlers. Well, isn't that amazing that we thought they only had 5 bowlers at the start of the match, and in the space of 2 overs, hey presto, there's 7 bowlers. Well, you can look at that a couple of ways, I guess. First of all, if you've got 5 bowlers, you really want to be able to rely on them to do the job. And if you're so desperately searching for a 6th or a 7th option, that's not really reflecting well on your frontline bowlers. Having said that, it's part of modern cricket, isn't it? That you do want those extra options to be able to turn to. It shows the importance of Hardik Pandya long term as a seaming all-rounder for India. Our understanding is that India's team management, he said he was only meant to bowl, or he is only meant to bowl, a maximum of 2 overs in a match. He ended up bowling 4, and it was him who got the wicket of Steve Smith. You would have to imagine it was Pandya himself who wanted to bowl those 4 overs. He did leave the field soon afterwards and then came back to bat. Didn't look as though it had affected him too badly. But what that means for India in the long term, are they going to use him for more than 2 overs? Is it considered too much of a risk? We'll have to find out. But it does highlight how vital he is to this India one-day side. Almost too important in a way, because you don't want to have to rely on him if he's not completely ready, if his action's not ready for him to be able to bowl more than 2 overs at a time. But India's bowling, it really struggled again, didn't it? And they looked so frustrated, at times looking defeated, at times kicking things. So something's not right with that. Look, India have lost this series, this one-day segment of the series, and it's a long tour. Maybe it might be an idea to, well, give Saini a rest. He really was shoulders down in a couple of instances in these first 2 ODIs. He really dropped his head, he dropped his shoulders. Maybe it's time to give someone else a go there. And look, even Jasprit Bumrah, you saw him kicking the markers that you have around the ring twice, not once, twice he kicked those away. It's a bad look. It shows how frustrated he is. Shami at times looked tired as well. Maybe they should be given a rest, or one of them be given a rest, and give the other bowlers who are in that ODI squad, or even maybe turn to one of your T20 bowlers. I don't know if they would be up for this, but at this stage, there's 1 game remaining. Whatever they've got there now just isn't working. Maybe it's time for India just to see if there's someone else who can actually really challenge Australia and trouble them in Australian conditions. So there we go. There's some of the India bowling nominations that we had. Now, Amit, who is, his Twitter tag is at Himachal Child, good. KL Rahul's match-winning innings. I know you posted that early. I'm really sorry. I really wanted it to be a winner, but we're gonna have to pass on that one. But gee, some of his shots did look good, right? She's Apples 23 has suggested the Henrique's catch deserved a good nomination. It does. At Santani Sonali 1 says good Crowds fielding, bad Australian fielding, ugly India's fielding. Lots of options. While at El Chapernos says good Jason Statham crowd catch. Yes. At Objato says both bad and ugly India's fielding. How much are the winds to blame for that? Now there were some pretty windy conditions today, but it's not like the ball really curved away from it. Didn't seem to be swirling around, so I think maybe that's a little bit of a stretch. What I would say about India's fielding is that they only dropped 2 catches, so that is an improvement. Let's look for the positives here. 2 dropped catches as opposed to approximately 7,480 dropped catches in the first ODI. Hey, little things, improvement. Yes, the crowd catch was good. And Reeks, no one mentioned Smith's catch though. Disappointing. Disappointed in you all. Now, Dills, who is at Cricket Foot, suggests the ugly Warner's adductor. I think he's talking about the fact that Warner injured his adductor, not the ugliness, the physical appearance of Warner's adductor, which I really wouldn't comment on, and I don't think any of us should. The interesting thing about that is, I mean, they can bring in Wade, or that'd probably be the easiest choice for the next ODI. Will Warner be ready for the first test, though? That is the big question that comes out of this. And the amazing thing is there's been this big conversation and debate about whether or not they should play Joe Burns or Will Pucovski for the first test. Well, now maybe that selection conundrum may have been solved for the first test. And instead of the warm-up game between the two Australia teams being the big decider between Pucovski and Joe Burns, in a way the first test could end up being maybe a bit of a playoff for that position once Warner comes back into the side. So we'll wait and see on that one. But his adductor, or his adductor injury, may have interesting outcomes for Australia. Now, at Gautam Mutia suggests good Smith's monstrous form, while at Bali Kanav says good Smith's batting, bad Smith's mood after getting out, and ugly Smith's stance. And Stark to Avenger says ugly shots by Smith. Well, kind of all that's true, isn't it? Yeah, we all know he's ugly when he bats, really, in a lot of ways. But these 2 ODIs have been something else from him. We know he's brilliant. We know he's brilliant in tests. He's been fantastic in ODIs. We're not sure yet really how good he can be in T20 internationals. But it really seems that we might be seeing the evolution of Steve Smith as an ODI batter. You wouldn't blink an eye if he was scoring 80 ball hundreds, but to have 2 at 62, 2 of 62 balls, that was pretty special, and the way he did it was pretty special. So it's scary. I think it's scary to think just how good he may still be able to become. So let's see how he goes in the next one. It also makes Smith's form in the T20s really quite fascinating to watch. How good is he going to be in that? Like, how good is he going to be all up? What we saw from him was pretty ridiculous. And at In Touch with SHK says, ugly Bumrah's haircut. I mean, who did this? Poor soul. Is the poor soul the person who did the haircut, or Bumrah for having the haircut? I don't know. I don't think it's that bad. So I'm not going to reward that as the winner. In fact, for ugly, I'm going to go with Warner's injury, not his actual adductor, but the injury, because no one wants to see a great player go off like that. So hopefully we'll see him fully recovered at some point in this series, maybe for the first test, maybe not. That wins for ugly. Our winner for bad, I'm going to give it to India's bowling, although let's just make a little point with their Australia's bowling hasn't been that, it wasn't great tonight. Yes, Hazelwood had some pretty good spells in that first ODI. That was pretty good. In a way, you could make an argument for Adam Zampa being the best bowler so far of the series. If he has a good game in the third one, you wouldn't necessarily have seen that one coming. But Warner's injury, that wins it. And good, let's just face it, there was some great batting tonight. There was some ridiculously good batting, but I'm going to have to give it to Steve Smith because that was really something else. So that's who I've decided are the winners. Thank you so much for watching again. Please feel free to subscribe, and I will see all of you down in Canberra for the third ODI. Thanks.